a little bit of a disagreement within the Daily Wire sphere, the Daily Wire cinematic universe of, racist xenophobia. But Candace Owens actually seems surprisingly to take a stand against Israel's ongoing war crimes in Palestine, which I know I'm surprised too. She tweeted, no government anywhere has the right to commit a genocide ever. There's no justification for a genocide. I can't believe this even needs to be said or is even considered the least bit controversial to state. Now, she doesn't name Israel, she doesn't name Palestine. I think we can assume though, 3 weeks on, 9,000 people dead, that she is referring to Israel and specifically some of the, the bombing of the refugee camp, the bombing of hospitals, etc. Dave Rubin took umbrage and responded with a pretty, like some weird graph that, let's talk about what the hell he meant. He tweets, well, as I'm sure you know, Candace, the Palestinian population has has quintupled in the past few decades. But thank you for taking a strong stand against Hamas's stated genocide of the Jews, which is in their charter. So he's basically low-key saying you didn't condemn Hamas. And also, look at how many more Palestinians there are. There are Palestinians. I don't even know where he got this from, but like, okay. Does that mean oh God. Do I have to explain how like genocide can work? Candace Owens responded, in short, if the blanket statement that genocide is wrong upsets you in any way, then you need to check yourself. I said exactly what I meant, and I won't be backing down or apologizing further, clarifying this statement. And then Dave Rubin said, yes, and I thanked you for your strong stance against Hamas. I salute you, which we know is ironic. Candace Owens couldn't let it go, had to get in there one more time, said, me, genocide is always bad. Dave Rubin, why won't you condemn Hamas? Absolutely demented. And yet Candace Owens, broken clock, who's right once every 12 years. I don't know when. Maybe this is the first time you've ever been right, girl. But you're right. That's what people are saying. When you condemn genocide, they say that that it is demented. And they're like, why won't you condemn Hamas? Guys, I feel part of my soul dying that I agree with Candace Owens on something, but also I'm of the belief that Candace Owens is actually one giant liar and she knows exactly what she's peddling and that this is just her getting out of her lane a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to be of that belief as well, especially considering, how she got to where she is today and where she grew up and how she actually grew up not far from where I grew up, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But what's interesting about this whole interaction is that it so perfectly exemplifies what's wrong with all of these conversations and discussions and debates that have been happening on social media for the past 3 weeks or however long it's been. You see people who try to make a statement, then somebody says, well, what about this? And well, what about this? And this isn't unusual for political discourse in general, but it's like, it's all happening just in such a vacuum so quickly. And we're just seeing it from all different angles. We're having people conflating like Palestinians with Hamas, and you're seeing people conflating criticism of the Israeli government with criticism of the Israeli people. And that is extrapolated to criticism of Jewish people, which is extrapolated to anti-Semitism, So all these things, all they do is stifle any actual kind of discussion or understanding from happening, even in cases when people want to understand. I think for the most part, people, whenever they're consuming this type of content, they really want to understand what's happening. And we're getting so many different conflicting reports from everywhere. We don't know who to believe. We don't know what to believe. We're having people who are bringing in all kinds of other things that we haven't thought about. So it all gets very difficult to just hold it all in our heads and make sense of it and kind of like, visualize it in a way that makes sense. So this is what this exchange looks like to me, is a lot of things that don't even need to be said. I mean, what Candace said in the first place, again, I agree with her as far as like, why does that need to be said? Why does genocide is bad need to be said? And then why is that such a controversial topic? But then you have people who are like, well, it's not technically genocide. So
is that what the point was? That was my first question. Is that what his point was? Because I'm still searching for it.
Well, he's basically saying there's Palestinians. Either is he saying there's Palestinians to spare so you can kill them?
Yeah,
I don't know, JR.
There's so many Palestinians. If there was genocide, there would be less of them.
So the genocide, or as people are calling it right now, that's happening, it has to be done in a couple weeks. It has to be 0 folks left, because over the past several decades, he said there's been 5 times the number of folks that, and by the way, again, as you point out, Yasmin, I believe you did. So Palestinians, but then he goes talking about Hamas. They know the difference. The same way that we know that Candace Owens, I think I agree with both you guys, this is a role. It's an acting role to make money off of gullible people. I guess have at it. But then on the back end, Dave Rubin knows too. So it's not like he doesn't know that Hamas and Palestinians are 2 different entities here, groups of people versus this organization. So again, the point is to make that be the reality when we see what actual reality is. Why is that such a hell-bent objective for so many people? You can still be appalled by what happened on October 7th.
Of course.
I am. And you can still say, but let's not do this. Why is that so hard? You can be an American on 9/11, still mourn and never forget every year on 9/11 and still go, but why the hell did we do that in our name?
Let's not do 8 October 7ths in response to October 7th. And maybe it has something to do with the fact that, look, the line from the boss, Ben Shapiro, is very much support Israel at all costs and all of the war crimes. He responded to Lindsey Graham basically saying there is no number of dead civilians that would cause him to restrict or call for a ceasefire between Israel and Gaza. And Ben Shapiro quote tweeted and said he's right. Israel is trying to minimize civilian casualties. Hamas is trying to maximize them, so people like Abby Phillip will push a ceasefire. If Graham says 10,000 civilians, this is just incentive for Hamas to hit that number to achieve a ceasefire. What? We don't have time for me to properly dissect and freak out the idea that Hamas would want to hit a number of dead civilians to then achieve a ceasefire, or that Lindsey Graham would have any say over what that number would be. But this is Ben Shapiro repeating and regurgitating a lot of Israeli propaganda. The guy is rabidly anti-Palestinian. The guy is rabidly, I would say, Islamophobic. In 2007, he wrote, Palestinian Arab population is rotten to the core. Palestinian Arabs have demonstrated their preference for suicide bombing over working toilets. In 2010, he tweeted, Israelis like to build, Arabs like to bomb crap and live in open sewage. This is not a difficult issue. Hashtag settlements rock. That is a hat tip to illegal settlements in the West Bank. Guys, any final thoughts?
Yeah.
Final thought, how do you wrap something like that up?
I mean, I can't.
It is interesting to me how Islamophobia is so perfectly well accepted in American society, at least, and anti-Semitism is not. I don't think we need to be, for the record, demonizing entire groups of people at all. We know who is to blame for a lot of this. There's Hamas on one side, there's the Israeli government on the other side. And I think the people being split and divided and confused with all of this is not helping anything.
It's the same thing we've seen. It's the abhorrent behavior that we like to take part in, and it's excuse after excuse after excuse. And I don't know where the shame comes in. We used to kind of have it. After we didn't have it, it's just we're reverting back to old ways, just openly being okay with this type of stuff. And to be proud enough to say it and post it and know that it's going to stay up there is tough. You can be sad about it. You can hate what's going on. But then to want the same thing to happen just seems like, do you want things to end? There's got to be preventive versus like punitive. And when your punitive response goes to killing folks who had nothing to do with it, what's the end game? Isn't it?
Savagery.
See our other comments on the Sinai Peninsula, but.
Thanks for watching the video, guys. We also love it if you hit the join button below, because that makes you a member, and members allow us to be independent, honest. We can be as progressive as we want, no corporate media influence, and that's all because of you guys. We love doing the show with our members. Hit the join button, become one of the Young Turks.